He excels in the tank v tank.
Yeah, the Scion or Rubber Biopanther pretty much encompasses those tanks, doesn't he? He'll play them as a carry. If he gets bored of them, he will bust out the likes of a Gwen or a Tryndamere and showcase that you can do a little bit of everything, but certainly could be a lane that might be a little bit quiet, one that we might not pay too much attention to for the very first few moments, but a try and true tested combo is going to be that LeBlanc and Lee Sin. We've seen it time and time again, lots of engage, lots of kill threat, and I suppose a good way for Kisei and Gudo to try and develop some very early synergy here.
Yeah, 100%. And like you mentioned earlier, right, Korean Lee Sin, Gudo has been exceptional at pick, and yeah, their duo is going to be really pivotal for how this game goes, Skimmy. But we are in game, first game, Split 2 of the LCO.
We certainly are, and if you've just checked your clock and realised, hang on a minute, we are already halfway through the calendar year of 2022. Well, don't blink because we're into Split 2 as well. Gravitas on the left-hand side up against Order, looking all new and ever so fresh and ready to showcase what they can do here today. We'll get things under wrap, and I believe we have a coach interview ready on standby, so if we can cue that one up and ready to go, then we can jump into the fold of things and get a few talking points, I suppose, some words of wisdom from the side of Gravitas. Mystic, how are you, mate?
How you going, lads? Pleasure to be back.
Pleasure to be back as well, mate. It feels good to be in a studio as well to make it feel ever so much more proper. But I have to ask, I mean, long off season, what's new for you boys? How did you spend that time?
I spent that time doing a lot of work. Honestly, we only took really about a week off. Ran some in-house trials just to see what direction we wanted to go for Split 2, and then so yeah, just been making a lot of progress, getting stuff done where we can, and watch some MSI games as well, as I'm sure you all did. But yeah, man, just trying to keep this train moving along.
That's the way. I mean, we do see a new face here in Floppy in that bot lane. We saw a lot of changes in your roster across the entirety of Split 1 with a lot of players on your roster, might I add. So are we feeling like this is the go-to roster now to start off Split 2?
Bit of some, what do I want to call it, housekeeping issues, but starting next week, you'll see what you're going to see the entire split pretty much. So.
Yeah. Beauty. Well, I'm excited to see what that looks like. Obviously, you got Lenny on the bandwagon as well, so keen to see what they'll look like in that jungle position. But until then, I wish you and the boys the rest of this split the best luck.
I greatly appreciate it.
Well, Rusty, we're back in the studio. That does mean that the Casticos has to happen. I was watching it. I was wincing as I was doing the interview there. And I mean, what better start for a Kalista bot lane?
Yeah, listen, it wouldn't be the LCO without a coach interview where a kill takes place early. Kalista Braum, as you have obviously now noted, very good at level 1. Braum as a champion is often seen, especially in a competitive landscape, as I'm going to invade you at level 1, right? He is just so good because of his passive. Hits the Q as well as the auto attack, and I feel like there's a world here that Piglet actually dies, but they stutter step a little bit. Floppy's the one who ends up getting stunned, Ignite goes down. Puma also exhausts the cleanse to keep close, right? To keep the autos going. And again, Braum passive. Corporal has basically stunned Piglet during the time that Puma was taking down at Floppy. So very easy first kills across the board here from Order, and exactly the way they want to start their campaign.
Certainly do. We talked about it being a very lane-dominant champion, and that's definitely the way you want things to go, as that is the flash chomp, but that's the battle start. I guess the kill confirmed there is Daejong locking in that Zoe first pick, is rewarded with his first kill.
Yeah, really well played there by Daejong with nobody, right? The flash forwards was just to make sure that they definitely had lethal. Ignite was also used by the Zoe with the auto attacks, so maximized as much damage as he could possibly put down. Kisei ends up going and is going to teleport back towards mid lane. So, all things considered, we'll be able to catch all of the minions, but a nice little first kill there for Daejong.
It almost feels like a broken record, right? Whenever we've seen nobody play this Trundle, he has tended to gravitate, pardon the pun, towards that mid lane, camping Daejong, making sure he gets ahead. It's happened again. Once upon a time, you'd say you've learnt your lesson, but the script really is continuing to repeat. So I'm excited to see how that one does play out. As this game does go on, as Gudo's going to pop his head into mid lane now. Look to try and assert some control by putting in a control wall. Kiss are going to go in with the chains. We're going to try and get that root off. There it is! And there's the Sonic Wave! And you can go to sleep, but you're going to wake up, and that wasn't a nightmare, that was the dream.
Yeah, nice little return fire there by Order, right? So they're able to get one back. Daejong still had the flash, but once the chains are on, you know, once the combo starts to come through from a LeBlanc and a Lee Sin, it doesn't miss. Nobody trying to keep the wave out of the turret. Now, that cannon, is that in range? Yeah, it is now. Not going to be completely held off there by nobody, but it does mean the cannon will get missed. Eyes on Kisei here, see how aggressive he plays this, because he probably should just be backing away.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to poke his head in there for a second towards those Raptors, but he knows better. Back to base he goes. Got a fair bit of gold, no doubt. Looking to try and utilize that. Make mid lane fairly favourable for them. Look at bot lane though, Rusty. I mean, this has just really gone from bad to worse.
Yeah, it's ruthless right now. I mean, that's not going to slow down the way that level 1 went. The fact that summoner spells were also used across the board. Kalista loves protracted trades, loves to be aggressive, and loves to be constantly hitting you. The longer a fight goes, the better off the Kalista will be because of the Ren damage that starts to stack up. Ezreal is a very low damage champion unless he hits all of his skill shots early. And because he started at a deficit, misses experience, he's going to be missing out on some damage there as well. Note that it is press the attack Ezreal. We've seen a lot of transitions here from most Ezreal players, where I believe it was just the first strike. I almost said kleptomancy.
Yeah, well, once upon a time.
Yeah. First strike has now transitioned into Conqueror or press the attack, depending on how they want to play. PTA, much more base damage for lane trades. Already undone.
Certainly won't be short of those options, though, to try and expose some vulnerabilities in the Armor of Order. Also, nobody's gone for the PTA rune choice as well. But whilst Ezreal traditionally can look to try and item spike fairly quickly with the likes of a tier into a Manamune and go from there, certainly Puma's going to be saying, well, that's all well and good. But I've got myself a very sizable lead. As does Goodo, found himself that kill in the mid lane, assisting Kisse. Now picked with the first dragon as well. And Piglet, well, he ran the numbers. He's just survived.
It was one little spear off being murdered there by Puma, but nevertheless, we'll be able to survive. They're looking for the potential dive.
Oh, that's a good hook, but even better door there from Corba, who's going to cop himself one turret shot. Going to get jumped upon. The Ignite goes out nice, nearly there. As Puma's now looking to try and get the moves like Jagger, looking to try and run away. Sidestep this, sidestep that. How many rain stacks does he have? Oh, he says, claim the soul of nobody. Claim to make it. Who cares about the exhaust? Because every time you exhaust me, I just cleanse it for free.
Corporal's flash there at the very back end of the fight was fantastic. Also means that Dajung not going to be able to cover enough distance. There's a minion wave blocking the Paddle Star if that were to come through. And so it just means cleanly here by order. I mean, you could call that a 2v4 as far as we're concerned, right? The fact that Zoe gets there towards the very end. They get out cleanly with 2 kills. That is a 4-0 Kalista.
I've seen this happen before. And when Kalista gets this fed very early on, I start to wince when mid-game comes around. You talk about champions that can look to try and make dragons and barons and heralds that much easier. Well, certainly the rain stack, not only on these champions, but can certainly help on that one. So let's run it back with this replay once again, because it starts with what you think is a pick onto Corporal in return.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Corporal actually got turret aggro during that trade as well. The Trundle Pillar was actually really nicely done by nobody, but everything was used. Trundle couldn't get the Q off, and once the Chomp couldn't connect, Puma was free to hit. And a Kalista that isn't slowed is usually a Kalista that's going to be out trading you. So very nicely kited. Showing mastery of the champions, of course, is Corporal and Puma. To no one's surprise, to say the least, but Gravitas left reeling.
7-minute Rageblade, how do you do? That's looking quite nice, as he's not even going to rush those tier 2, but he doesn't even care about his passive to try and jump around and make life easy for him, because he just wants raw stats. I mean, who needs to dash and dodge? Well, you can just hit them for free.
Well, Kalista does. Kalista's one of the few champions where boots are like the most common first purchase. Because the movement speed, just as much as the attack speed, is really valuable for her. I mean, when you're this fed, who cares, right?
Who cares? There we go. Bit of red reprieve here in the top lane. As Tyron's going to get copped upon. The Colossal Smash is going to get interrupted as he looks to try and hit the call of the Forge God, but ultimately Goodo rocks up. Right place at the right time.
And I guess a quick PSA for everyone out there when I said that there was a chance that Gravitas may be able to upset Order, who haven't been practicing too much when they came back from MSI. Just because they have less practice doesn't mean they're not ready. This is very clearly an Order that wants to win straight up. They've put their best foot forwards from level 1 onwards. Top lane now getting involved in the mix. The only place that they've suffered was mid lane, where a good Zoe bubble is all it takes sometimes, especially when Zoe runs Ignite. But the trade back was almost immediate.
Certainly was. That good invade there from nobody to try and make sure that this Zoe got ahead nice and early. Was retaliated back quite quickly. And I think I'm sure as this split does go on, right, I mean, the fact that Order went over there, went 0-8, got certainly bullied by the best in the world, but showed, certainly in game 1, right, when they kept G2 very close until that Baron flip, you're thinking, okay, well, whenever these teams do go overseas, certainly there is going to be some love to be found, not only from these scrims, but obviously up against, some of these solo queue players too. How much of a buff is that? Well, how much can really be derived, especially when you bring a new player in a core position like jungle? Well, certainly as far as game 1's going, he's settled in quite nicely.
Nobody actually having a crack at bottom lane here, but Corporal was hiding out of vision. So the second that the Trundle and the Braum locked eyes, He backed away. Turns out it was just time wasted from the jungler there. Meanwhile, Order getting back to work, trying to take these camps down. Red buff not going to steal the blue this time around. So far, so good. I'd say it hasn't been a hard game for Goodo to integrate to the team, just the way that this one has played out at all. But so far, no issues to really speak of. Just happily playing into this one. I guess the big point, Skimmy, is we said they are very reliant on having some kind of early advantage. Some kind is in the form of almost everywhere.
It certainly is to be the case. 10 minutes in, up by 3k gold exactly. It's quite nice to talk about as both the mid laners look to try and trade blows. Here comes nobody, but Goodo's not too far away. Was veering back towards that bot lane as the Dragon's not too far away, 40 seconds and counting. Very defensive warding, might I add, here from Gravitas right now, as they are just terrified as to where Goodo could be from mid to bot. He's now bot now. Gonna summon that Herald, and well, 2 plates will be the one shot, but they just want as much gold as they can.
I don't know if they saw the Nautilus in transition from base towards mid. Nobody now going to come down here as well. I think if that Braum Q connected, there was a chance they took the fight.
Yeah.
Puma just going to settle for the turret. I think in reality, what happened here, excuse me, is that they were looking for a play mid. Tyron. Oh, that was...
It's a cacophony of skill shots missed and mistakes to be made, but ultimately we're going to pan away from that one back to bot lane where...
Tanks, am I right? I mean, it just doesn't matter. They're just using abilities. Have a little fun every now and then if you're a tank. But Panther obviously controlling top lane really nicely. If he has Demolish, it's going to be a lot of that turret health gone as well, just say. Yeah, it's going to be a couple of plates there taken nicely for the Scion. So Top's winning of his own accord. Puma has finally decided to get some boots. There are some brown bags, but why not get a full Runans with it? Is you like after a full turret goes down?
I mean, it really is,
11 minutes is a good time for one item. Like, you're pretty happy as a gamer. You got one full mythic. You're like, yes, that's pretty good, 11 minutes.
Yeah, when we've seen mythic items picked up that early, you're thinking that's pretty sweet. But I suppose a champion, much like a Kog'Maw, right, where the mythic seems a little bit overrated early on, we can look to try and go for these items first instead. And yeah, let's check in with that total gold. Hang on a minute. Yes, he is fairly fed, if we are reading that one correctly. So the sweet tears of Ezreal are certainly going across the battlefield here. Is once again Tyron caught in a spot of bother, even more so now because he has to deal with a 4-0 Kalista.
Yeah, Tyron perhaps not respecting the potential map flip there from the side of Order. Nevertheless, will just be perfectly fine, but he had no flash from the prior fight, so needs to be super respectful. Gravitas also just going to let most of this minion wave crash and die. Dajung not willing to sacrifice his positioning advantage, but he's going to be forced out anyway.
Yeah, he wants to go for this blue buff. He wants to try and take it. It's not going to be picked up by him. Goodo's got that one as they go to sleep. Out comes the True Shot barrage, but the door goes out and denies the bulk of that damage. And now Order really are asserting their control of this map. The jungle presence is certainly to be felt now.
And now they are going to press the attack forwards, looking for nobody.
Looking for nobody, looking to try and stack up that concussive blows, and well, he was stunned and he's dead now. And now the dive is certainly looking to be on as that wave is to be crashed. It's already been decimated, but another wave is coming on through. But they are literally just going from top to mid and saying, wherever you rotate, we will just pick you apart. Dejong looking to try and flash away, gonna get kicked to the head as Goodo walks by, but hang on a minute, Dragon's Rage into the kick to follow things up. And actually donate a kill across the floppy who says, oh, we'll take that one for one, supports can do wonders. As the exhaust of the kiss there was enough to deter much more.
If there's anything that I can take away from that trade for Gravitas, it's that Floppy's hook was exceptional. Other than that, they are just being completely smacked. Order just no slowing down, no signs of slowing down by any means. And really, the MVP of that entire series of plays for me was Goodo, because he went through a series of skirmishes without wasting the ultimate. Didn't use it for lethal on the Zoe, right? Had the ward hop, had the ability to follow through, use the Gore Drinker or the Iron Spike whip at the time if it was to find that one. Then had the flash kick, right, to keep the play going. So recognizing the windows that existed and maximizing what he can do for the play was very well done by the jungler of Order. The rest of the team just... I mean, we're at a point, we're 14 minutes in, I feel like they're just beating them with the wallet already.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I'm just looking at Puma rattling down the final turret plates in that top lane. I believe he's probably picked up like 8 as a collection now, which is just unfathomable. Given the CS lead, you can see at the bottom of your screen as well. Might be at 3 items before Pickett completes 1. It's possible.
There's quite a large Kalista. I think there was even a point in that last skirmish where he just left the kill to Kiss. It was like, you have it. Like,
It's a freebie.
I don't need it.
Well, here comes Goodo up against the lonely Ezreal. Looking to try and shield himself behind that minion. The minion falls on down. There's the Sonic Wave. There is the kick. Where are you going? Fog of War doesn't exist because I've got a wall there. You might have a team to back you up. But here comes Corporate across the wall. Looking to jump in and back you up. There's a bit of mitigation. There's a knock-up. Glacier Fisher. How do you do? Get chomped and nobody takes him down. Jungle Affair going 1 and 2. But now Corporal's also going to feel the burden of it because nobody is a hungry man. The troll is certainly empowered. He's got those stats. He's going to look to run away. And Tyron, nobody saw that.
I think he saw the Callisto on his screen and just pressed any button he could possibly do to get away. He's gone. Puma shows up. The raid boss is here, but they're going to immediately disengage. And so from one raid boss to another, Puma is going to slaughter the Rift Herald instead. Another free objective for them. I mean, nicely played by Gravitas to get a couple of kills on the back half of the skirmish, but I think it's fair to say that Order are just looking for any play possible at this point. They've recognized how far ahead they are, and they're just looking to not exactly put the foot down and keep going, but they're not going to slow the pace. They're comfortable just making these trades because they keep trading up.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I always notice, right, when OS goes overseas to these big international events is just how we handle ourselves in these early game situations, right? You see these international teams always finding like devastating leads by the 10-minute mark, and you're thinking, how is it this much of a gap, right? But then you see a situation like this, it's almost like they've come back and said, these are lessons from Korea. We're just going to win early, so then there is no condition for a late game scaling of an Ornn or, you know, even a Zoe to come into the fold of things.
Oftentimes as well, like historically speaking, when OS goes abroad, we tend to lose in the mid game. Right, like you often find that we have enough to get through an early game, right? Because it's kind of controlled, it's measured, and it's understood. The game's more locked down. You have more space to work with, right? Every turret is full health, every turret is dangerous. There's no objectives up, right, for your first 2 clears, or clear and a half, whatever it may be for junglers. We tend to go even get a couple of picks here and there from that, but it's once you break out of that pattern into the unpredictability of a game where things start to falter for most of Oceanic teams abroad. Order didn't even realistically make that point. They often just had Kevy being hard invaded on. The Gravitas floundering as Order are the ones to press the mid-game attack. Stark contrast.
They certainly are. 17 minutes in, and we are ever so shy to a 10k gold lead in Order's favour. Second Herald summoned mid to take out the outer. 3 dragons now have just been picked up, secured there by Goodo, looking to try and play for a Infernal Soul in 4.5 minutes, which would feel like putting a bow on it.
Certainly would. A nice little ward placed by Order as well in the red side jungle. It didn't get swept out, so they have still got a potential bank of knowledge to work with on that side of the map. They're going to force the inner turret here. I don't think there's any stopping them. In fact, even looking for the chance to stop them is a little bit much here, and they ran the risk of being engaged on themselves.
Yeah, Tyron's bot lane, he doesn't have a TP, so he couldn't actually make that play. Clears out one wave, back to base he goes, looking to try and spend whatever form of cash he has, no doubt looking to try and work towards that Fimbulwinter, but very low on the stack so far, not going to be realised any time soon. Kisei also in base, and probably feeling, oh, go on then boys, have a crack at things, but ultimately they've just got so much map control, 4 turrets, uncontested.
Yeah, as it stands with Vision, actually, a couple of things that Gravitas have done all right is they've got a couple of deep wards that haven't been cleared. They have one, north of the blue side jungle in their own jungle that wasn't cleared by Order, so they had theoretically they had flanks if Order missed position or didn't have numbers in the right places. And it's just good information to see if they choose to disengage. But we're 18 minutes in. Ooh, that's too far, way too far.
Well, he said it. We take those. But that's all he'll take at this stage, unfortunately.
That's all he can take, I think, at this stage.
Back lane farming it up. Going to try and hit that next break point. He's sitting on the Loon so far, but will be craving, no doubt, a Shadow Flame or some form of extra damage to really hammer home and try and hit them with those one-shots, which have ever been so present as an annoying Zoe feature.
But I guess ultimately, what does a Zoe do if she starts the game behind, right? It's one of the biggest falterings of a Zoe in general is once you fall behind, you tend to stay there. It is really a struggle to exist on the map when you could be a different control mage and be behind. Like a Victor, it's going to still be able to team fight, put down the storm, probably one-hit someone, right? And can do that in an AoE. Zoe relying on hitting bubbles, but you've got a Braum to counter you as well, so even with the Shadow Flame, you can't help but question what Dajong will be able to do. And it doesn't sound like a hard carry for the team is going to be facilitated here.
But Braum's done certainly a lot of work, right? As much as we were critical of it being, a pick that you wouldn't commonly say, that's the pick you need on red side for a 5th and final pick, it's denied so much from what Gravitas have put together.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the pick itself, it's like we said, it isn't picked for its own composition as much. Like, Braum Callista can work, right? It's more about denying everything that Gravitas have. If they start to try and force team fights, you can deny the Ornn ultimate. That's really their one way in besides the Nautilus. And a Nautilus who's behind is going to be very fragile, especially with the Glacial build.
Sure.
No Aftershock to keep him going. And so he just gets ripped apart. And that's really the way that the game plan is going to be from Order. It's bring them to you because they want to engage. Absolutely. And then just run them over.
Where does desperation really strike here for Gravitas? Because 20 minutes in, Baron about to spawn, Dragon to try and play for and just shy of 90 seconds as well. So you're thinking, what is our avenue back into this game? Will Auto entertain it? Or will they continue to invade as you're seeing on your screen right now and choke out the map so we have no vision, no idea of what to do and where to go? We might be featuring ourselves our very first OS ARAM as we group up all around that Baron. Right on the clock it spawns, true shot barrage, door goes up and that cancels it. Now. He's gone drowsy now, he's going to jump away, the Baron's going to be disengaged away from, but damage goes onto Corporal, forced to burn flash. Kisei across the wall though, looking to try and hit those chains, no route to be found. And back to lane deployments we go.
I don't want to speak too critically of it because they are in a very losing situation, but I have no idea what Tyron was doing. I feel like he just missed 6 different opportunities to press a button and didn't do any of them. He just postured aggressively. Braum had no door. If ever there was a moment as an Ornn to use your ult, just to have a crack at it, that was the time, but he held it. He didn't use his E, right? He didn't try and slam when they were against the wall. Just kind of let them walk away. You're not going to get an opportunity like that to even try. Again, if you're not really forcing the agenda, that was maybe the 1 in a million moment that Gravitas had this game to, even if it was a losing fight, have a go.
The killer instinct potentially lacking there in that situation as they are down a significant margin in this game and only to literally pick at any form of scrap that they can. And if it won't be the Baron that they go for, then they've invested all their chips really now into this Infernal Soul Denial because that is the biggest prize on the map currently.
Cool.
Oh no, Floppy's. Oh no. He's taking a hook when he really doesn't want it. He doesn't want to traverse the map that far away. Flash away as good as goes in for the Sonic kick. And he's not going to find it as the door goes out. He can't hit R2. That's a tragedy. The damage is there. Kisei is low. In goes Biopamp as he's looking to try and lock them all on down. It's just a cacophony of damage. Look at them, 2 have been foul. Oh, look at the red. It's all across the screen right now. Order just rampaging apart. As they say, Dejong, you are the sole survivor, but we want that perfect ace. But we won't find it today. He hits it with the inches. Yes, Dejong.
If ever there was a time, he dodged 2 skill shots. No time like dodging a Gudo skill shot to show an EG icon. But hey, team fight still goes the way of Order, and he'll get a small victory on the back of a losing team fight. Baron going to be secured for them as well. I don't think there's going to be any contest here. Unless this takes an extremely long time. What Gravitas do know is that Gudo is hitting the Drake right now. And that Corporal and Biopanther, they may not know this exactly, but you have to assume they're tanking this Baron to be fairly low. There's a world that Gudo's not even coming. He was recalled.
It's close. It's going to be close. How do they get out now? That is the question. Puma's going to have to try and fight himself out of this pit. He's flashed away from one. Nobody against the world. What can he do? The pillar goes down. Not to be found. Ren stack 1, looking for a double. I've seen Puma win these. He's going for Floppy. He gets a double kill. He will literally fight his way out of this Baron pit. He does not seem to matter. Tyron rocks up and says, where is my team? How have they died? I thought we were meant to be jumping upon you. There's a triple kill. And now Puma's 8-0.
And Piglet has no choice but to just farm mid, I suppose, here as well. Puma's just won the game. I mean, level 1, Puma and Corporal just 2v2'd them, right? It's just that simple. It's continued every single time Gravitas try and find the Callista. Too good to be true every single time. They're always one step ahead. They're just too confident. I mean, look at the damage you can see in the last team fight. To be fair, the team fight was him kiting all of them. But he lives to tell the tale, and so he gets to show off that damage chart.
Unbelievable situation. Much like Biopamper just exploding and saying, you can't kill me, I am a tank. There's a double kill just as easy as that for Kisei off screen. Look at trying to fight the KDA now for Star AD carry. He's 7-1. As they look to draw and force a 4-1 split. Top inhib is dead. The second in mid is soon to follow as they turn their attention on towards that one. And they are for sure locking Gravitas inside their base. There is nowhere to run or hide, no waves to prep, no turrets to really try and defend. One more Call of the Forge God goes out. It's a one-man knock-up. Tyron goes to crossbeam. He's got nothing to charge into. There's no collision. There is no knock-up and there's no stun to be found. Puma gets exhausted. This time he doesn't have a cleanse. He's going to die to the turret, if nothing else. And that second turret is going to fall on down. True shot rush tries to have a crack at sniping Puma, but his KDA will not be ruined today. Gravitas are falling on down like flies. 24 kills to 6. 24 minutes into this one. And Puma Order start, Split 2 off with a bang.
A very one-sided affair here for Order to kick off the split. I mean, a confident showing, exactly what they wanted, right? You